Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome our viewing audience to another session of our Ed Talk series. I am Andrea Ferrari, founder and CEO at Whole Schools International. And together with my partner, Gabriela Gonzalez Pacheco, Director of Programs, we have created this innovative space to inspire conversations around education during these unprecedented times. So education is transforming, and for Whole Schools, we believe that equity, well-being, and happiness are the keys to a sustainable change that is future-proof and that will face the challenges of the short and the long-term consequences. And for that, we gather in this space to share with educational experts, opinion leaders, students, professionals that can guide our educational communities, our parents, our teachers, our school leaders, and certainly our students as we co-create the new landscape in education. I'm very honored today to have with us three very, very talented students, professional women, young women, and their teacher, Mark Weber. Mark has been an educator for over 30 years in 6 countries and across 4 continents in debate, in theater, and of course, Mark Weber is the director of Weber's Ebb Teachers Talent and also the director of Weber's Debate Academy. And today we have something very exciting in store for our audience as we lead the topic of extracurricular activities and the development of real life skills. We'd like to introduce our guest speakers. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
And welcome to our students. I'd like to start our conversation by addressing Mark and asking, in your opinion, Mark, how do extracurricular activities accelerate students' learning and also the development of these fundamental life skills? In addition, why would we call them extracurricular when they are fundamentally tied to the holistic education, to the strengthening of the students all around? So over to you, Mark.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Andrea and Gabby, for having us here to talk about this really important topic. Obviously, it's something that I hold dear to myself in my professional career. As you said, I've been doing this for over 30 years. So to get to the point about the question that you ask about extracurricular activities, it's not entirely wrong, but I appreciate that you recognize the distinction, because a lot of the activities that we do are co-curricular activities, which means that they go along with the curriculum of the school. For example, we particularly do debate and theater, and as you can see, those are extensions of a lot of the curriculum that's taught in the schools. And what I like about them, mainly why we consider them co-curricular activities is because they seem to not only complement the curriculum that's being taught in the schools, but they take it to like its logical and practical extension, where the students kind of come to what we know as educators is one of the highest levels of Bloom's taxonomy, the concept of synthesis, where we bring all the knowledge together and we actually do something with that. We actually synthesize something. So you can see that happening in debate activities. You can see that happening in theater activities, where it brings together so many skills and so many areas of knowledge that we want our students to have in the schools. But also keeping in mind, and I do think this is why they use the term extracurricular activities, is because there are also activities that are not necessarily part of the curriculum. For example, if you look at in Mary Jo's school here in Colombia, at the British International School there, they have a project that they call Techo, which is where it's kind of like Habitat for Humanity, but it's done locally. And they go out in the community here and they build houses, like small wood frame houses for families that don't have a proper living space. kind of get them off the ground, literally, up out of the dirt, and give them a nice living space to live in. And that's not something that's necessarily practiced in the schools, but it's something that they do extra. So there is room to talk about extracurricular activities and co-curricular activities, but obviously all of this comes back to teaching the students, how to live a good life, how to be good citizens, and how to enrich themselves.
Oh, that's an awesome introduction, Mark. Thank you so much. And I just want to point out how much in agreement we are about Bloom's taxonomy. And at the top of that scale, we know that alongside synthesis is creating. And I know that you have taught your students well when they are co-creating among these topics and issues that are very relevant and authentic. And today we are so honored, and thank you for the opportunity allowing us to host these three very talented students and professionals now in the field. We want to welcome Andrea Camargo, also Julieta Sierra, who are not only ex-debate students, but are now students at University Iberoamericana, if I'm not mistaken, along with their colleague, also Viviana Garcia, who is not only part of debate teams, has been the world champion. She has authored a book on Aprender a Debatir that's out there in Amazon, Kindle. Guys, go for it. She's got these amazing strategies, and we can get more deeply into that. But today we're having you over because at Whole Schools, we aim to listen to student voice, because we know that you guys have an unrelenting voice, one that is able to really discuss authentically matters that are going on, and how, in your experience, these activities that Mark mentions, and specifically debate, have influenced your education. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys now. Maybe I'll throw out one initial question. I want to start with this quote, girls. Let's see, and I know that Gabby has a lot of fun questions prepared for you as well. So we're gonna play a little ping pong here. So let me begin with Plato. Plato said that the argumentation worthy of a philosopher should convince the gods themselves. And as debaters, my question is to you girls, is that the point of debate, to really convince your opponents? And how does this translate to your everyday, to your life routine, to your relationship with partners, or to your place of work? And it's open to all three of you, any of you, all of you.
Okay, I can go first if you don't mind. I would actually disagree with that. I think the most valuable thing that debate has taught me is how to listen. I think that it's natural for people to believe that we know the absolute truth of an issue. And as humans, we like having our biases confirmed. And so I think what debate has really taught me is that underneath the surface of any topic, there are loads of arguments that are really worth considering. And so I've learned to change my opinion throughout research, throughout discussion. And so I would say that the most valuable thing that debate has to offer is learning how to listen and learning the value of recognizing when you are wrong in order to reach a better argument.
And of course, as per the title of our topic today, is how, debate or extracurricular activities foster these lifelong skills. So you've just mentioned some really good ones, right, Gabby? She's on and on about learning to listen and learning to advocate for yourself, which of course, as young women that we are, this is really, I would say, empowering. I'm going to offer Gabby the opportunity for the next question. I know that she's dying to jump in there. Gabby, please go ahead. We can't hear you. I think you're muted. Thanks so much.
You are right. Yes, I was. I'm sorry. Well, yes, thank you so much for sharing that. I completely agree with what Vivian just said. And but I guess my question is, when you talk about having a co-curricular class, as Mark was called it, or having an extracurricular class, how much of it finding your passion? Because I mean, definitely I can, from what we've talked with Mark about his program and what you guys have done and so on, we truly think it's about finding a side of yourself and developing yourself in a way that schools sometimes do not offer. So how was that space for you? How did it enrich your experience being able to have this type of an activity that is extra from the school, but it in a way, well, contributed to your, well, even in the case of Vivian now, no, in your everyday today lives? How would you describe that? Anyone?
I'm gonna answer that. I think that like the first thing that I can think about is English as a whole. Like it is not the same learning English when you're taught just to read about it and like learning about grammar and spelling and actually trying to convince someone else about your ideas in another language. So firstly, I would think about it like the best thing that, well, not the best thing, but one of the most important things that debate has really made me much easier is learning English and like being able to express myself in English. And the other thing that I could think about is the analysis of the topics that I have. So I don't like, for me it is really hard to understand some of the science topics, but I think the debate gives me this wider perspective of, okay, there is something behind that, right? If you're thinking about a topic about biology or physics or whatever, it may have a consequence in the people. It may have an impact in society. So I think that is the kind of way of thought that debate has taught me overall.
Okay. Right.
Wonderful. Julieta, loving your interaction. I loved your question, Gabby, that involves student interest, looking at their strengths and their passions. What better way to connect with our students today? I want to add to that and talking about personal experience. I've been recently sick and I've been watching some Netflix, and I watched The Queen's Gambit lately. I don't know if you're familiar, girls. I'm sure you are. So my question would be, and for our viewing audience, of course, it's a series all about the game of chess. And in thinking of chess and in thinking of debate, my next question to all of you would be, would you say that debate compares to a game of chess, a match of chess, as it provides intellectual entertainment and stimulation for the non-participants? And what made me think of this too was that Vivian prompted by saying our best tool and what it helps me do is to listen. So what do you think, girls, any of you?
So I can jump in here and say that we're probably all thinking about this quote that Mr. Weber always says about how debate is a game of chess and you want to play the chess game out in your head to anticipate your opponent's next argument, next move, and really challenge yourself to make your argument strong enough to stand against your opponent's arguments. So I definitely think that very much like chess, debate is a game of strategy and it's a game of interacting with the other person.
That's excellent. Andrea, you were going to say something else, right? Andrea Camargo, I'm saying.
Yeah, I had like an issue with my microphone, I'm sorry. But that's basically it. I think that the strategy is an important part of debate. And I think it's where you can discover where to be creative with that analysis that Julieta just explained. So I think it has some similarity. So yes, but also this huge background of intellectual, like reflecting on, well, you're playing chess. I think it's this whole invitation to act when you know something, and this invitation to act when you have like the evidence and you know you're not talking about numbers, you're talking about people and impact in the daily life of a lot of people. So I think that putting into practice all this knowledge is an amazing part that debate can offer you as well.
Thanks, Andrea. Lovely to hear from you. Gabby, do you have another question? I know that you really prepared for our students something really fun. I have Chloe here. I'm going to have to mute. Go ahead.
Don't worry. I think the main question, I think, for everyone is, why should students have this type of classes? I mean, when we talk about life skills and we're talking about being successful and going beyond, and it's not all about academics, it's not all about, math and science, and how can, which is, I think, it's coming up with the question from before, which is, for example, especially in the case of Julieta and Andrea, would you think that it would have been how can I say this, like an empty void if you hadn't had this type of exercise? Is it something that helped you in the sense of what you're studying now in university? And why should other schools think about this type of activities?
Well, I'm gonna answer that. Firstly, well, actually, we're not still in university. We're still in high school, but I can think about it as well as it is a guide for us to think about the future. Why? Because I think that the analysis the debate brings us, like, if you're thinking about just making a case to trying to convince someone, you are making this analysis to think, what are the consequences of any action? It's not the same with the chess, right? Every move you are going to make, everything will have a consequence. So I think that makes us think further about our actions, about our future, about what can we study or what's next, right? But when we're talking about like the structure or the practices that we have with Mr. Weber, I think that also makes us like as a life skill, that just makes us more organized people as a whole. I think that is something that debate gives you, an organization to think about how can you work in a team to think about something for the future and for your future.
Yes.
Thank you.
Were you going to say
Julieta.
something else, Andrea?
Well, I completely agree with Jules, but I also want to add that, like, I'm a senior, so I'm going to college next semester. I want to study philosophy, and like the first approach to philosophy I got was from a motion in debate. I think it was like a tournament like 2 years ago. So I think this basically explains the whole point. Like you can meet a lot of topics, you can meet a lot of issues, and you can find like your passion and that thing you want to keep learning till like forever, basically. So I think, yeah, you can find a lot in the motions.
Wow, that's really, really a great recommendation, right, Gabi? What better way than to find your ikigai or the thing that you're passionate about through just discovering it through dialogue and discourse. And I want to jump in with one of my next questions, and the thing that makes me super curious. And if we're thinking about debate and extracurriculars developing these lifelong skills, I think Vivian touched upon it at the beginning. It helps you to develop or take perspective and look at other people's viewpoints. Thinking of that, I'm thinking specifically about empathy. And when I think about empathy and empathizing with the other's point of view, I'm thinking about emotions, right? And so then my question to all three of you would be, do you or would you agree that to be a strong debater, you need to be emotionally uncommitted and preserve sufficient detachment in order to maintain this very coolly academic approach? And I'm sure that if your answer is yes, this is something that really helps you develop those life skills that are going to keep you going in the job place or in your relationships, right? So what do you think about that? What do you think about emotions and how do you tackle them to be a strong debater? I think Andrea Camargo wants to jump in. Andy, or is it Julieta? I don't know who it is, but you're all muted, girls.
Okay, I'll go first. Well, to be honest, I don't think we get rid of emotions and we try to shut them down at all. But that's basically the beautiful part of debate. You can keep your emotions and you can actually put emotions into the case or while you're speaking, because it doesn't like be, you can see the both parts like as separate things. So I think that's when you have a wider perspective, like you have these feelings, you have empathy for the things you see in debate and the analysis, but you can also have this like professional and academical discussion. So I don't think you get rid of emotions, but I think you manage them well enough to have a productive discussion with others. So that will be like my answer.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, it's like, I think that in debate forces us to touch a lot of really sensitive topics, right? Like we were just debating a motion about the yogurts in China, and it was like we had to make research about really strong topics and strong impacts on people. So yes, we do touch a lot of the emotional things. also when you are debating, like there's a lot of emotions just in the tournaments. But I think that overall it makes us really like a stronger people in that way, the way in which we can perceive competition and the way in which we can perceive what is happening in the world.
Andrea, I don't know if you could let me say this. We've talked about women, and we've talked about it's an issue that in society right now we need to address, about the role of women in society. And right now, when you guys were talking about, you know, how it helped you and it strengthened you, and what do you think needs to happen, you know, for us to be able to help within a society to empower women to be more active and just, you know, more involved in these issues, and just being able to well, offer solutions and become part of the dialogue, you know, on how to deal with these issues. And I think I would love to hear from all three of you, if you can, if you want, please.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that by participating in debate, by like taking the challenge to be part of the team and the community with the Mexican circuit or the circuit that your place of living has, it's like having this invitation to actively participate, because maybe I found a lot of empowerment in debate like since the first week. Like I remember before debate, I was found in the situations where everyone was telling me like, please raise your voice, we can not hear you, and this type of comments. And I think in debate was like the first place, like I started like actually talking and speaking with a like raising my voice basically. So I think the idea that raising your voice matters because what you have to say matters is something you practice every day in debate. So I found a lot of empowerment there. So I would say like just try it and see the challenge that you are capable of achieving.
Oh, thank you. That's amazing. Julieta, Vivian?
So I would echo what Andrea was just stating. And I've really seen the impacts of debate in my professional life. So I studied economics at ITAM, which is quite male dominated, and I work at an analytics area within a bank. And so I think what has helped is that I know that my words are powerful, that I know that I'm capable of proposing smart ideas. I know I'm capable of making change. I know I'm capable of even winning tournaments. And so when imposter syndrome inevitably kicks in and I question whether my ideas are good or not, and when I'm questioning whether or not I should speak up when I'm at the table in my professional life, I think back to all of those moments during debate where I have felt empowered, and I think back to all the success that has come from it. And so I think that debate has definitely helped me in that aspect as a young woman, and especially now that I'm starting my professional career.
Wow, Vivian, what a great way to associate this to your professional career. I apologize. I think I was frozen a little bit back, and Gabriela, as always, you're always there on the spot to keep things going. You've done an amazing job, all of you today. I want to extend an invitation to all of you girls. You have made such an impression on us. We want to welcome you to participate in the upcoming Women Economic Forum in order for you to voice your experience, in order for you to help us spread the word about how we can begin to empower young women and take education into our hands. Education, as we said earlier, is transforming. And we do believe at Whole Schools, we need to do it from the bottom up. The World Economic Forum, as you know it, works at the larger realm of women entrepreneurs that you're soon to be a part of. Julieta and Andy, you're still in high school, as you said. My greatest honor to have you here as high school students. And of course, your colleague, Vivian, who's already been through university, and now she's financing. She's a risk financial expert, a financial analyst at a very prestigious bank institution, and hence audience, we know the effects this can have in real life, and we want to bring you on board, girls. So please do accept our invitation for the WEF. Whole Schools has participated diligently in the first 2 chapters of the WEF here in Mexico, and we're now leading the All Ladies League for Holistic Education based in Mexico, but we're working, yes, with educators all over the globe. So more of that to come. Why don't we conclude our conversations then today? We have around 5 minutes left that I want to leave a little bit open to you girls to maybe talk to us or leave us with some final comments or piece of advice. Maybe you girls could give it for students in high school that are still in good time to start doing debate. What would you recommend to them? And you, Vivian, that are already out in the field, a published author, come on, you've got to all leave us with some really good words, some inspiration for our audience. And by the way, our hearing audience today, you're awesome for connecting. Woohoo! We're cheering you on. Thank you for being with us today. Okay, so over to my girls. We love you so much. Okay, go ahead, girls.
If you want Julieta, because Julieta was left out from the comments from the last question, so please, can you start?
Yeah, of course. Actually, I think this can also give part of my conclusion, right? So I think this part of empowering women is extremely important. Why? Because one of the biggest social barriers that we see as women is that of the questioning of our intelligence. So if you are new in debate, I think sometimes we have this wrong idea that debate will make you a smarter person. But the truth is that debate actually makes you be more aware of your intelligence. And as a personal experience, it just made me proud of my intelligence. And that is something that I think really empowers me in any discussion, in any debate. Like, I know that I am an intelligent woman and that I can impact the world, and that will lead me to, I don't know, like a future where I can do something for the world. So like that's my advice for these new high schoolers in debate, or like people from elementary school or whoever, is just be proud of your intelligence. And honestly, debate really helps you to embrace that. That would be my advice.
Woohoo, Julieta, believe in yourself. Yay, you said it so well. Excellent closing remarks. Over to you, Andy Camargo, and then we'll finish off with Vivian. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Thank you. Well, I think that it was like an amazing last words. And I will also advise you that if you're thinking a little bit about it, like if you just have the idea in mind, it's willing a shot. Like you won't regret it, and you will get a lot out of this. I think we left out a little bit out of the comments, like the amazing community you have in debate. Like you could have like friends like Julie, like Vivian. I think having a community you can rely on and be interested in topics that have actually impacts like around the globe for a lot of people will leave you a lot of knowledge and personal growth. So if you want to try it, you're capable, and your voice always matters. That's
We love this. Your voice always matters. That's brilliant. What wonderful and inspiring closing remarks. Thank you so much, Andy Camargo, Mamito Kaya, by the way. And now over to Viviana Garcia Cano. Please enlighten us.
Well, thank you so much. I would say that there are few things that actually belong to us in the world, but two of those things are our thoughts and our voice. So I would encourage anyone to really dig deep into what thoughts we have, to question the whys as to why society is a way that it is. And if we do that, we're bound to find a lot of injustices. We're bound to find a lot of additional questions that we need to explore. And when we use our voice to try to put our thoughts into action, we're inevitably going to face some backlash. And so what I would say is don't be scared of the backlash, because that means that you are making a change in society. And that means that your voice is having an impact. I would say be concerned if your thoughts and your voice does not generate any backlash. And so I would encourage everyone, and especially young women out there, to really challenge ideas in society and create backlash, and to not back down when that invariably happens.
Wow, that is awesome. Woohoo! That really was inspiring from all three of you. You gave us so much food for thought. We feel so honored, and we know that our audience watching is taking a huge takeaway tonight. Girls, before I close, I really want to thank Mark. I want to thank Gabriela for making this happen. You guys are awesome. And Mark, wow, I mean, from all this, there's going to be a lot of people lining up for your debate academy. I feel quite sure we've made huge progress. What do you think, Gabby?
No, I think Mark should go to bed very, very happy with himself, because he can say that he thought these amazing women, the power of their words, as Vivian said, and I loved how you said it, and your words are powerful. I completely agree. And if a class, extracurricular class, taught you this, then this is just amazing. No, we should not lose sight of that. Definitely.
That's awesome, Gabby. Any closing words from Mark before we say goodbye?
Yes,
Yeah,
Mark, please.
Yeah, I would just say one quick thought, first of all, and this, I think, puts a cap on it all. Any of you teachers out there that are considering, or administrators considering, starting your own debate club at your school, these three ladies right here could not be better examples of what has kept me going for over 30 years. You can't buy this. You can't pay for this. You can't replace this. They're amazing, and that's what keeps us going.
Thanks, Mark. That's a great way to close and to leave everybody with a link as to what the next steps would be. For us at Whole Schools, you guys have made our happiness quotient go through the roof tonight. We really want to acknowledge you and want to thank you for reminding us today, girls, how effective young people are at advocating for issues that they care about. And it's for damn sure that you're all passionate about this, that you have been taught to do, which is speak your mind. And I love these words, challenge and create backlash, right? So I think you should coin that term, Vivian. Put it in your next book. Come on. Keep
That's what
on
it should
going.
be called. Create backlash. There's your challenge.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, well, from Whole Schools, a big hug to all of you, and we'll see you soon. We'll keep in touch for the WEF, and for our viewing audience, we'll see you next week. A big hug to you, Mark, Andy, Julieta, Vivian, Gabriela, and our production team, of course. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here. Thank you so much, ITVM. Well done.